We don't write the book now. We don't get a chance to write the book. We just got to live it out. Now, I don't want to take you away from your parents because you guys, you show monster resilience. You show monster resilience. And I'm proud of you. We're going to fix what we got to fix. We know we have a map of path ahead of us. Okay? Okay, hey, you dug deep and pulled out a tough one. Okay? Gentlemen, I promise you now. I promise you. I want you to do well in life. I promise you. Touch your body.
It's the end of week 3, and we kind of know the identities of a lot of teams here in Northeast Florida. It's the Duval Sports Podcast. I'm Andre Ellis. Listen, that was Oakleaf head coach Christopher Foy after a big-time close win against rival Fleming Island. They're undefeated, and they're going down to Hawthorne. That's going to be a big game. But now, since we're talking about big, let's talk about big players. And who got the sauce this week? None other than Tristan Kelly of Impact Christian. Tristan, man, the sack master. 5 sacks back-to-back games. This time he had 5 sacks against Wolfson, 16 tackles. He had a fumble recovery for a touchdown in the game, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 forced fumbles. Just a maniac on defense. Tristan Kelly, you got the sauce, sponsored by Georgia Maize.
Ready to sauce up your wings, brisket, and veggies? Try Georgia Maize Buffalo Wing Sauce and Georgia Maize Garlic Hot Sauce. Our do-it-all sauces make meal prep quick, convenient, and fun. The smooth finish of our delicious buffalo sauce coats every wing evenly, delivering a flavor-packed bite every single time. Try dipping for even more flavor. Our garlic hot sauce brings any dish to the next level. Shop online at bdscaters.com.
We're back on the Duval Sports Podcast. I'm Andre Ellis, and that's who had the sauce for the Duval Sports Player of the Week for Week 3, Tristan Kelly of Impact, sponsored by Georgia Maize. I got the sauce too, man. Y'all got to check this sauce out, man. This sauce is delicious. I just put it on my chicken that I put on the grill. Man, this stuff is good, man. So you got to try it. It's not real hot. It's not too sweet. It's not too bitter. It's just right. And if barbecue sauce isn't your thing, they got hot sauce and they got garlic sauce too. Man, get some of that sauce, okay? Georgia Maize. Use promo code Duval and you get 10% off on your purchase. Make sure you get it. Now, Tristan's team got the sauce too. Let's talk about Impact. Coach Nease doing a great job over there. They're off to a 2-1 start. They've assembled such great talent at the football team right now, on the football team right now. And it's just great to see. It's really great to see. I mean, traditionally a basketball school, but now the football team and the football program is making a lot of noise. Their slogan has been, why not Impact? And I'll say this, why not football at Impact, okay? Tristan Kelly has 40 tackles on the season. He's leading the area in sacks. He's got 12 sacks on the defensive side of the ball. He's 6'3", so he's one of the premier talents in the area, and he's at Impact. So go check him out. Also on offense, man, they've got a dynamic playmaker as well. Elijah Caldwell Hardy is leading them in receiving with 127 receiving yards and a touchdown on the season. So he tore it up. He was one of the leaders in receiving last year in the area at Impact, and he's doing a great job again this year. So definitely check out Impact. They're a team that's definitely got the sauce, and they're putting some wins together. They'll have a matchup against University Christian soon, and we'll cover that in a couple weeks. We're back here on the Duval Sports Podcast, and let's review some of the games from the previous week, week 3. And we got to talk about Middleburg. Middleburg and Clay, the Clay County Showdown. This story is on duvalsports.com. Check it out. But Middleburg was able to win a close contest against their rival, Clay, 9-0 in a very wet and soggy and sloppy field, just like Middleburg and Coach Wolf like it, because he likes to run the ball and play field position, and that's exactly what he did. Travis Pinknard led everyone in rushing with 37 yards rushing on Middleburg side, and the deciding touchdown in the game. He scored a touchdown in the second half, which put Middleburg up by 2 scores. So they also got a field goal in the contest earlier in the game, and that really just put the game away as Clay could not muster any offense. Clay is more so built for getting out on the edges and speed, and that's not their game when it's a wet, soggy field like it's been the last couple of weeks. So a lot of teams like Clay, who are built for speed on the outside, they're gonna have to change it up and really play some ground and pound football to win in these conditions. That's why it's good to be well-rounded. These conditions definitely favor Middleburg, and man, on defense, Caden Hannafin led them in tackles, along with Peyton Mooningham also was laying the wood. Jaden Boyd caused a fumble, and there were 2 recovered fumbles by Middleburg. So, I mean, they just know how to win close games. They are 3-0. And they are looking good. All right, we've got a lot of games to preview this week. So instead of recapping several games from last week, we're going to preview the games this week. The first game we're going to preview is Raines and Mainland. So let's talk about Raines. Raines got their first win over Trinity Christian in recent memory. Okay, these teams really didn't play back in the day. They just started playing kind of like in the mid-teens, 2017-ish. And Trinity won every matchup, whether it was a spring contest or during the season. So this was Raines' first win over Trinity, but it didn't come easy, although a lot of us thought it would. Trinity Christian built a 23-16 halftime lead. Hicks Zahar ran for some scores and passed for some scores in the game. He ran for a touchdown and tossed 2 touchdowns in the game to really galvanize Trinity at first, really putting them in a position of everyone's thinking the upset was going to happen. He passed a touchdown to Trey Williams and Lennox Hires in the contest. So I know Coach Maslin fired up his team at halftime. I know he got in them, because Raines came out in that second half and completely shut out Trinity. They were trailing 23-16 and end up winning the game 48-23. So completely shutting out Trinity in the second half was Raines, and they're a team that can do that. They're a team that should do that because they're just that good to be able to do that. Tony Williams, who came over from Ed White, 4-star linebacker for Raines, led them in tackles with 11 tackles. Jatarius Brown had 3 sacks in the game. So Brown was just a terror on the defensive line. Micah Merritt had a big-time fumble recovery in the game. King Massey caused the fumble. So that's how they were able to get back into the game. And then on the offensive side, man, Timothy Cole. Timothy Cole could have been the player of the week this week. I mean, he tossed 2 touchdowns and he ran 2 touchdowns for them. He tossed 2 touchdowns, one to Caleb Lampkins and also one to Andreas Cox. So those 2 touchdowns that he threw, he also ran it. So he's been a big addition to Raines, really making plays. Tadarius Washington also had a rushing touchdown in that game. So Raines moves on. They're going to face the defending state champions in Mainland. So Mainland this year is not having the best season. They are 0-3, but they're still Mainland. They still have some big time players. Now they lost a lot of key players last year who were seniors who led them to the state championship game, and you can look at that story on duvalsports.com because we were there. Mainland actually beat Raines last year pretty handily. So this is going to be revenge and a rematch that Reigns wants. And Reigns is getting them at a good time. They're 0-3 and Reigns is 3-0. So two teams seemingly going in opposite directions. So will Mainland, will they be scratching and clawing trying to get their first win and trying to shock the state and get one over Reigns? That's why I would definitely watch this game, because Mainland is capable of doing that. Their losses have been against Coco team, who's always good, 51-0. They lost to Flagler Palm Coast 7-2, and they lost to University 31-28. So they've lost to 3 teams that are good, 3 teams that they didn't play last year. They didn't play these teams last year. So these are brand new teams. They don't have tape on. They start out early. So that 0-3 record might be misleading. So some players on Mainland, Dennis King III is one to look out for. Reigns cannot take them lightly. The good thing about Reigns is it's at home. So that's something that they can look out for, to definitely try to make sure that they get that revenge. But Reigns should win this one. Just too many weapons across the board and just too big for Mainland. All right, let's preview our next matchup. It's going to be Riverside at St. Augustine. Now let's talk about Riverside first. They got a big win against Orange Park, 54-14, led by 3 quarterbacks. Glenn Foreman III tossed a touchdown. Jaden DeLon tossed a touchdown. And they also had a sophomore come in and toss a touchdown. Mitchell Gaskins tossed a touchdown as well. So enter a 3rd quarterback into the round robin of quarterbacks for Riverside. A big day for Sherman Davis. Sherman Davis had 167 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns on the night. Really was a ground game. It was wet, of course. So Riverside was able to really rely on them and really pound Orange Park into submission. So that was great. Those 3 quarterbacks passed to 3 wide receivers, and Miles Kendrick had a day. Miles Kendrick caught 7 passes for 137 yards receiving and a touchdown. Also, Marcus Dye, the freshman, caught a touchdown as well. And Gelsey, once again, is adding to his touchdown mark. He had a touchdown in the game as well. So that was a big win for Riverside. They now face St. Augustine. And St. Augustine was supposed to play Bowles last week, but that game got canceled because of rain and lightning. So unfortunately, we didn't see that matchup, but we will see another matchup of probably some of the best wide receivers in the area. We missed the one between Bowles and St. Augustine, but we'll get the one between St. Augustine and Riverside. It's going to be Tayshawn Gelsey versus Carl Jenkins Jr. And it's going to be Miles Kendrick and Trenton Jones from St. Augustine. So it's going to be some big time players that are going to be featured in this game. Samarion Wingo actually has led St. Augustine in receiving. He's averaging 102 receiving yards a game. Of course, that quarterback, Lachlan Hewlett, one of the leading passers the last couple of years in the entire state. And he's going to be slinging it around. So we already know that Riverside has had trouble stopping teams. So they're going to have lots of trouble trying to stop this St. Augustine offense. They're going to have to try to outscore them. And that's going to be hard. St. Augustine in their matchups have able to stifle teams, but they haven't gone against a team as powerful on offense as Riverside. So this is going to be an interesting matchup to see how St. Augustine matches up defensively with such big, long, and tall receivers from Riverside. This is going to be a high-flying one if the weather permits. If the weather doesn't, then they may have to go to the ground game. And Riverside has already shown that Sherman Davis can lead them in rushing. But also, St. Augustine can rely on the rushing too. Trendale Anderson is averaging 92 yards rushing a game. So even though St. Augustine lost one of the best rushers in the state last year, they can run the ball as well. So that's a big time matchup. Watch out for it. All right, one of the big matchups of the week that I'm looking forward to is Fletcher versus Nease. Both teams coming in undefeated. Both teams coming in high-flying quarterbacks that are slinging it all over the place. Big-time wide receivers and two of the best coaches in the area. Two former college football coaches, a quarterback in Colin Drafts, of course, a running back, and NFL player in Cedric Faison. So two very bright coaches going against each other, two young, vibrant. I just absolutely love this matchup. So let's talk Fletcher first. Fletcher got a close win against Atlantic Coast this week that was rescheduled. Actually, Fletcher jumped out to a big lead and Atlantic Coast kind of chopped it back down, but they ended up winning 26-21. DeAndre Smith for Fletcher caught 2 touchdowns in that game. So, they had another wide receiver step up for Fletcher, and that spells good news for their offense. It's not just Solomon Pinckney catching all the touchdowns, which he was their leader, and he's still there. So that's really good that they have several different options for Cruz James. Cruz James Bajek is their quarterback, and he's been having an outstanding year as well, tossing several touchdowns. He tossed 2 again this past week. Really doing a great job on the ground. Like we've said before, Jamari Jennings leads them in rushing. Jennings has rushed for 165 yards on the year and 4 touchdowns on the ground. So Fletcher likes to control the clock, control the ground and pound, and that's something that they're going to attempt to do against Nease. Now that's hard to do against Nease because Nease puts up points. Just check this out. Nease has put up 45 against Creekside and 24 against Ponte Vedra, 2 very good teams. They held both of those teams to just 7 points. So that's going to be a tall task for Fletcher to be able to stop this. Nease game was canceled last week, so they might be a little rusty coming into this week. We never know, but they've got some dynamic players. Nate Harry, one of the leading passers in the area, 405 yards passing and 5 touchdowns as well. KJ Perry leads them with 104 rushing yards and a touchdown. And they've got dynamic receivers. Braden Felder, 188 yards receiving. And Vernon Stevens came alive the week before with 2 receiving touchdowns. So Maddox Spencer also has a touchdown as well. So we need to make sure that you have to be very, very careful not to let them get off, because they showed that not 1, not 2, but 3 receivers can get off if you let them. So that's going to be a really big time game. Nease and Fletcher, can't wait for that one. All right, let's get to the granddaddy of them all. I circled this one on the schedule when the schedules came out. These are 2 teams I wanted to see each other for the last couple of years, and I'm glad that they got together and decided to get this game going. Mandarin visits Bradford. Now let's talk about Bradford. Let's talk about the home team first. They got a win over South Sumter last week, 28-7. Just another great performance by that defense, giving them 7 points. That's the second time they've given up only 7 points in the game. And they just like to wear you down. Bradford just honestly likes to wear you down with Geno Addison at running back. They've got a quarterback now in Zach Polk, who's able to toss touchdowns. Jeremiah McKenzie comes in at quarterback, excuse me, and is able to run a little bit of wildcat and run the ball. But they like to play defense. They love to play defense, and man, they've got honestly some of the best defenders in the area. Jeremiah McKenzie is one of the top defenders in the area. Brian Clifford is one of the top tacklers in the area. Also leading them in sacks is Travis Johnson with 2 sacks. Clifford also has a sack in there too. And you cannot go without making sure that you mention some playmakers like Jaquez Casey, who has scored a touchdown this year on special teams and defense. A big 6'4" defensive end, Jeremiah Hill. Watch out for him. He's a senior that is almost unblockable. So they've got some big time players, big time game. Also, Jamarian Foy, 6'4", 250 pounds. Another defensive end. So this is the thing with Mandarin. They lost their star quarterback Tremel Jones Jr. He's out. So they're facing their biggest test of the year without one of their biggest weapons. But Knox Ennis hopped in and passed for 129 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's really making a big difference coming in as a freshman. Amazing. He tossed one to Ethan Sherman. Cameron Mills caught a touchdown, and Bryson Wright, that freshman phenom, caught a touchdown as well. So they were really able to dispose of Sandalwood on defense. Caleb White was a leader in touchdowns along with Kamari Spriggs. And I told y'all last week about Tamaj Mitchell, and he went off again. Tamaj Mitchell really set the tone for special teams again with a special teams touchdown. So I told y'all to watch out for him. Drake Stubbs got a pick in that game against Sandalwood as well. So you definitely don't want to get him going that 5-star. So you got Drake as a 5-star. You've got Jamie French as a 5-star. So they've got big time weapons that Bradford's going to have to account for. Bradford is long and real big, so this is going to be the biggest test that Mandarin has. This is going to be the fastest test that Bradford has. So it's going to be big versus speed. Which one gets it? Again, the weather's going to probably be a factor. So will that speed be able to make a difference? Who knows? But I'm telling you this, Mandarin likes to run the ball, and they're able to run the ball with Dante Perry. They're able to run the ball with Aiden Owens, with Dion Winstead. They're able to run the ball with these people. So they have several different running backs who they can put in and play that same type of ground and pound football if they need to. And Knox Ennis can also run the ball. So watch out for that game. That's going to be the game of the week. Of course, Bradford is our #1 team currently on our Duval Sports Power Rankings. Check it out this Friday to see who falls #1 and 2. Mandarin fell last week only because they lost their starting quarterback, so there was an unknown. But they demolished Sandalwood, so it looks like they haven't lost a beat. So let's see where they end up on Friday in our Duval Sports Power Rankings. We were at, we had great coverage. You can follow us at Duval Sports on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course visit the website www.duvalsports.com.